Dear learners, you are welcome for this lesson. Lesson 2. I'm Teacher Mukasa Moses. Of Namugongo Secondary and Vocational School. In the previous lesson, we looked at why people search for God. Previous lesson. We looked at why people search for God. That was our previous lesson. We looked at why people search for God. Therefore, before we look at today's lesson, we are going to request you to go to the YouTube channel, download our videos for Namugongo Secondary and Vocational School. Utilize them anytime you want, at school, at home, and after that, come and do consultations about that. We are going to be there for you. Therefore, today's lesson is our second lesson. And it is also got from man's response to God through love and faith. It's got from man's response. Man's response to God through love and faith. This is section E. It is basically for candidates, senior fours. So, in the previous lesson, we focused on why people search for God. Today's lesson is going to be focusing on how people search for God. So, lesson 2. Focuses on how people search for God. Therefore, objective number 1 is going to be to give the meaning of the word search. We gave the meaning of the word search in the previous lesson, but we are also going to give the meaning of the word search today, to remind those that we are not present. But we're also going to show how people search for God, how man searches for God. Okay, those are objectives we are going to define. Search, and then we are going to show how people search for God. Okay? So, to search is to look for God, for those of you who were not around in the previous lesson. To search is to look for God. We can also use another word to mean search or to look. The other word which also means to search or to look is to quest. So, the word search, the word look, and the quest mean the same. They all mean the same thing. To look for what? To look or to search for God. Therefore, as CRE students and Christian students, we are supposed to look for God. That's why we are teaching you this on your syllabus. Okay? So, the other thing we are looking at today is how do people look for God? How does man, can say man or people, look for What does man do to look for God? What do they do? Which activities are they involved in as a way of looking for God? So, man conducts prayers. Man conducts prayers as a way of looking for God. So, as you are searching for God, you can do prayers. What is prayer? Prayer is communication. Communication to God. Or it can also mean talking to God. Okay? Prayer is a means of communicating to God. So as you are praying to God, you are looking for God. It is a way of looking for God. Prayer is a form of worship. Prayer is a form of worship. We have other forms of worship that you can use to look for what? To look for God. Other forms of worship that you can use to look for God. One of them is charity. Another form of worship is fasting. Another form of worship is singing. So, you can look for God because we are looking at how people look for God. How does man look for God? We can pray. We said we can go for prayers as a way of communicating to God. We can give charity. Charity, these are services rendered to the vulnerable people. They could be children that don't have parents, children that were dumped on the streets. They could be widows, or the elderly, the lame. So you could give them charity as a way of looking for God. Okay? Then you can fast. By fasting, you can also look for God because we are looking at how man looks or searches for God. You can do fasting. Fasting is a way of looking for God by denying yourself food for some time, a drink for some time. I'm talking about water or juice. I'm not talking about alcohol. Because when you talk about a drink, some people may think you are talking about alcohol. I'm talking about water. We are talking about food. So you can starve yourself for some time as a way of looking for God. Then you can sing. Of course, we are talking about gospel songs, not secular music. When you are looking for God, or when you are searching for God, we expect you to use gospel songs or church songs, church music. By doing it, of course, you have to compose the songs, you have to practice them, and then praise and worship God. And in the process of singing, you will be looking for God. Therefore, learners, you should love music. Music is one of the ways of looking for God, especially church music. So look for God through music. Then, we can also search for God by establishing churches. Establishing churches. And look for God by establishing churches. Like at our school here, we have a church that was established. And it has helped us, and it has helped many of you students, our learners, to look for God. Some of you come when you are too secular. But when you come to our school here, Namugongo Secondary and Vocational School, and you go to our church, you are tamed and you are converted into good people. So, establishing of churches is one way of looking for God. Then, establishing radios and televisions that are church-based. Establishing of radios and TVs which are church-based. For example, at our school here, we have NPC radio. It is a church-based radio, Namugongo Pentecostal radio. This radio has helped very many students to transform. They have changed and they love God. Therefore, these radios, if they are established well on the foundation of the church, and the learners are taught how to do the programs on these radios and TVs, by the end of the day, the school will be searching for God. The learners will be searching for God because they will be able to get the message. They will use the radios to preach. They will use the TVs to preach and to convey God's message. Therefore, people will be searching for God. Then, the other way of searching for God is by establishing church-based projects. Church-based projects. Projects that can help the church to get some income. A good example of a church-based project could be a school started by a church, a radio started by a church, a clinic started by a church. Therefore, by starting these church-based projects and employ people that are Christians, they will be able to search for or to look for God easily. Then we can also organize holy journeys. We can also call them pilgrimages. We can organize pilgrimages to holy places like Israel and others. So when people go to these holy places, they will be able to transform. Therefore, learners, you need to use and enjoy our lessons on the YouTube. Every time you feel you want to have a lesson, go to the YouTube channel for Namugongo Secondary and Vocational and download our lessons, then come for consultation. But before I conclude my lesson, I would like to discuss one question. And the question is, how does man search for God? I want to approach it for you. How does man search for God? How does man search for God? We want to approach this question, this sample question. So, this type of question is also comprehension. Comprehension. In nature, it is comprehensive. Which means, if you are to answer from this question, you are supposed to give synthetic handling. You are supposed to give examples. If you don't give examples, you will miss the marks for examples. So it is a comprehension question. So all comprehension questions require the learner or the student to give essay. So if you say a question starting with the how, a question is starting with the why, a question is starting with explain, a question is starting with the show, these are all comprehension questions. They require you to give essay or examples. And you can give the example by, how do you give essay? How to give essay. Synthetic handling. How do you give essay? We give essay by giving further explanations This is 1. We also give SH by giving the W's. Number 2, W's. So, maybe the first W could be who. So this is the person. The second one could be when. This is the time. Time could be the date, when the activity happened. It could be the month. It could be the year. Then, where, the local place name. Where, local place name. Okay? So, when you are giving the SH, it must be in line with W's, at least 2 W's or 3 W's. We are going to give you the SH mark. So, when we are allocating marks for this question which says, how does man search for God? Or how do people search for God? We can give you 8 PS. This is the present situation. 2 SH. These ones. 2 SH. So, with you, if you don't give us SH in line with the 3 W's, you are only going to get 8 marks or 8 points. And therefore, we said every time we are starting to answer, every time you are writing a point, you must start with an opening remark. And the opening remark is got from the question. So you will say, people, how do people search for God? People look for God. People look for God through, this is a conjunction, or by. This is a conjunction. These two are conjunctions. A conjunction is a joining word. A joining word. So, when the question starts with the how, the conjunction word must be through or by. You use one of them. If the question starts with why, the conjunction must be because, as we saw in the previous lesson. Therefore, learners, you must start with the opening remark and then connect the point. How do people look for God? People look for God through or by praying. So you get a tick here, PS. The reason why I mark and I baptize the tick with the PS because the question was set from the present situation. So if the person is set from the Bible, I will baptize the tick with B. If the person is set from NT, I will baptize the point with NT. Therefore, dear learners, we are happy to be with you today in our second lesson. We request you to go to our YouTube channel for Namugongo Secondary Vocational School and download the lessons, read them, play them, and after that, come and consult. We are going to be ready for you anytime. Thank you very much.